This is the initial reaction of a YouTuber named Joey.
Number 15. Weißt du, irgendwie liebe ich Chills Stimme auch. Vor allem wegen dem Smile Friends Ding.
Mac 420 after experiencing a mysterious encounter while motorbiking in the mountains of California.
And it was all fun and games until a freaking ghost girl just comes out of nowhere.
He and his friend are out on a long bike trail with no one visible for miles and no reason for anyone to be out there with them. Everything is going fine until at one point the trail dips along the base of a mountain and runs parallel to a creepy section of woods. Joey comes around a corner and is surprised to see this person approaching him, someone who he's never seen before and yet who looks strangely familiar. He's so freaked out by the sight of someone all the way out here, a clear 45 miles from town, that he veers off the path and takes a look over his shoulder to make sure what he
Aber warum Ghost Girl? Ist doch einfach nur eine Frau. Warum kann da keine lang wandern oder joggen oder
saw
so?
was real.
That is so creepy. Brandon's gonna freak out. Do I go back and look for him?
Die joggt doch einfach.
Was ist denn daran gruselig?
Where did she come from?
She walks by, but something is really off about the way she looks to him. He can't tell what it is, but it scares him bad. A close-up shows some reasons why. She's walking straight ahead and doesn't turn to notice him at all. No wave or acknowledgement.
Ja, no wave or acknowledgement. Was erwartet der denn? Die geht da wandern, er kommt mit dem Motorrad vorbei. Sie sieht ihn ja schon von weit weg, aber sie steht da nicht und macht Hallo! Motorrad. Er weiß, dass es ein echter Mensch ist. Hä? Was ist denn daran Was ist denn daran Hä?
Or anything. Last, she seems to be holding something. When his friend drives by a short while later, he says she behaved differently and ran straight at him. I think she appears to not be in the right mental state, since she was all by herself in the mountains walking a long distance without any shoes. That's when Joey remembers a missing persons report around this area from not too long ago, and I think this was very smart thinking on Joey's part. He checks the database and brings up this photo. Carly Lane Goose. I know it's kind of hard to tell from this distance, but I do see some possible correlations between the person.
Ja, Frau mit langen Haaren, das ist hier keine Correlation. Also von den Pixeln kann es sie sein oder jede andere Frau mit braunen Haaren.
In this video and the person in these missing FBI photos. The hairstyle is similar and she seems to have the same high cheekbones. If I had to guess the age, I would say a teenager, much like Carly, who was 16 when she went missing, but overall it's too far away to say for sure if it's her or not. All of this bothers him enough to call the local sheriff, and I wanted to know if you thought this phone call is real.
I think I might have seen the girl.
Did you know the name of the person?
Yes, it's Carly Goose.
The person on the other end sounds like a professional call dispatch based on the questions she has and the order she says them. First, she makes him clarify the address, which is what a real emergency operator would do.
Okay, do you know the cross street to Batista Canyon?
Then she asks for a clear description of the missing person in question.
Okay, and do you remember what color shirt and pants she was wearing?
And she wants to know if Carly was with anyone else.
Er braucht mir jetzt gerade nicht beweisen, dass das ein echter Anruf ist. Ich glaube, dass das ein echter Anruf ist. Ich glaube, dass er sich Sorgen gemacht hat, dass es vielleicht die sein könnte, ne? Da brauche ich jetzt gerade gar kein... Ich glaube nicht, dass es gefaked ist, aber ich glaube einfach, das kann halt einfach nur eine Frau gewesen sein, die da spazieren war.
And she was by herself.
It's a logical line of questioning that seems she's following a real procedure she was trained for, which makes me believe this call was not fake. Most convincing of all is the way the call ends. It seems professional and exactly like what a real law enforcement official would say.
And she was by herself.
Yeah, she was by herself. And she fits the description too. She's about 5'7".
So I think this is probably real, or at least he thought it could have been her, in which case he definitely did the right thing by calling in. Besides, Joey isn't the only one to have seen Carly. Someone once saw a particularly thin girl walk by his house near where she went missing. She was not paying attention to anything at all, just staring at the sky in a daze, much in the same way that this girl he saw today was staring straight ahead. Most mysterious of all, a second report that she was holding something that they couldn't identify, which matches what Joey saw. What I don't understand.
Okay, also dieser Fall ist halt einfach, das ist für mich null. irgendwie, weiß ich, kann nicht mal sehen, ob sie keine Schuhe anhat. Die kann Sandalen anhaben, weiß ich nicht.
Ja.
And is how
Das ist für
this
mich einfach Bullshit gerade.
person could be so out of it and yet survive on their own for over a year. She was last seen in October of 2018, and this video is from July 19th of 2019. I guess nothing came of his report because as of the time of my analysis, Carly is sadly still missing. One thing that is always
Carly Goose. Carly Lane Goose. Dark Blonde. Es ist immer noch nicht gefunden. Nee. Es ist 5.000 Euro, wer sie findet.
creeped me out is the thought of being watched by someone who is interested in your every move and possibly recording it to watch over and over again, or even to post online. It's apparently easy to do and happens more frequently than you think. In early 2019, an Airbnb traveler named Max Vest rented this room to rest his head. Does it look normal to you? If so, you could be getting spied on tonight. Under a mirror is a small black camera positioned to watch you in bed. It's very small and easy.
Die sind aber hardcore auffällig, diese Kameras. Es gibt doch viel, viel kleinere Überwachungskameras und nicht diese, weiß ich nicht, die sehen so aus wie diese VR-Boxen, weißt du?
Ja gut, dann
Is
würde
he
man
to
das
miss?
als Kamera abstempeln.
Ja, ich würde mich schon wundern, vor allem, weil es auch in der Steckdose steckt und so.
Ja.
Manche Leute gehen extra in,
But that
manche Leute extra nehmen sie so eine Dinger mit, wo du durchgucken kannst, um diese Infrarotstrahlen zu sehen oder so. Damit du sehen kannst, ob da irgendwo eine Kamera drin ist.
That's the whole entire point. And the black bottom of this plug-in deodorizer is also a spy camera positioned across from the dresser. And I don't think I would have noticed, to be honest, if it were me staying there. But just because you now know of two different types of spy cameras shouldn't make you feel anywhere near safe. Meanwhile, in a different hotel, one of these three objects on the table is a spy camera. Do you know which? Even if you guessed the lamp, I bet you didn't guess where. Last but not least, this man once spied on his female roommate for a long time, using a camera behind a curtain rod in her room. He's a tall man, but even he has to reach above to set it up. He lines up her closet and her bathroom in one frame, and satisfied with the position, takes his leave. Most people would hardly pay attention to the corner of their own room. How long do you think it would take before you notice the camera?
Das ist echt ekelhaft. Ich habe auch gehört, dass sowas sehr häufig passiert, so in vermieteten Studentenwohnungen. Weißt du, dass so die Vermieter irgendwie Kameras aufbauen und dann absichtlich die Wohnung an Studentinnen vermieten. Das heißt, es gibt so viel ekelhafte Leute da draußen. Das ist das Schlimme, dass man so eine Grundskepsis haben sollte. Und sowas halt. Ich weiß nicht, wie gut diese Dinger funktionieren, wo du durchguckst, um Infrarotstrahlen zu sehen. Wenn die nicht teuer sind, gut funktionieren.
If at all, it would probably take me a long time. So if you travel a lot, then there is a chance this might have already happened to you, or if you live with someone you hardly know, they could use a number of different spy gadgets against you for the entire time you've been talking to them. And when that happens, they can either keep the video to themselves or spread it online. Pretty creepy to think about, right? A British family seems to be haunted by a spirit they call Freddy. Unlike most other families with a lingering paranormal problem, they seem to have gotten used to being
Bei Airbnb ist es extrem. Ich habe Lufthansa angerufen und gesagt, that's a Google Reminder. Was? Also ich kann mir auch vorstellen, dass es bei Airbnb häufiger ist als bei Hotels, weil Hotels haben, glaube ich, nicht so Interesse, dich auszuspionieren. Und dann müsste es ja der Vormieter sein, aber das würde ja wahrscheinlich überprüft werden. Aber bei Airbnbs, du buchst von irgendjemandem seine Wohnung und der kann ja an jeder Ecke in der Wohnung was versteckt haben, theoretisch. Finde ich sehr erschreckend, die Vorstellung. Vor allem, weil die Videos können ja nicht nur jetzt für ihn sein, sondern er kann sie auch online verbreiten.
haunted for the most part and largely ignore Freddy, laugh at him, or otherwise treat him as if he's a bratty child. It's an unusual technique that's made for some interesting videos from 2017 to 2018.
Come on, Freddy. I know we call you Freddy, but we don't know what to call you yet. But we like it.
I guess this ghost simply doesn't like to be addressed by the wrong name because nothing touches the can, and yet it makes a noise and goes flying. They never do call it Freddy again after this, at least not to its face. I don't see how.
Ich weiß nicht, ob der Fernseher einen Cut hat. Guck mal auf den Fernseher, Dofi.
Ja.
They never do call it Freddy again after this, at least not to its face.
Siehst du?
Ja.
Der Szenencut. Ich weiß nicht, ob das ein Cut im Chucky ist. In der Szene, weil wenn du hier guckst, nee, ist ein normaler Übergang, oder? Ja. glaube ich, ein normaler Übergang,
It's
oder?
not too
Ja, ist ein normaler Übergang. Sah eben in der Geschwindigkeit so aus, als ob es einfach Hardcut ist. Weißt du, als ob es einfach
It's
so
not
ist.
to its face.
Aber nee, ist glaube ich
I
normaler.
don't see how this is faked because I don't see a string. In fact, I don't see a string in any of their videos, like this one for example. No string shows against the dark window as this phone lifts up and slams back down only when she tries to say hello.
Don't touch it. You don't have to touch it.
And later they turn the light on just to prove that it's not fake.
Come on. Put the light on. Put the light on.
Oh ja. Jetzt glaube ich's.
The light is on. You can clearly see there is no fishing wire or strings.
If this isn't a ghost, then tell me how it's being done because I really don't know.
It's just hovering. Look at that.
Most of the
Aber schon
activities
cool. Wenn das so, weißt du, wenn du sowas hättest, wo das einfach, weißt du, das ist ein Geist, der jetzt dir nicht irgendwie wehtun will, aber der einfach mit deinem Telefon oder so,
seems to be happening in this living room. When they are all in the kitchen, stuff in the room always seems to move, almost like Freddy is trying to get them to come over here. Aside from the phone, this dog picture seems to be its next favorite object to animate and suspend in midair.
You'll be alright. Oh yeah. I'm not lying, the picture is levitating.
Sabatitan! What the hell?
I can't.
I suppose somebody could have been standing on a ladder off camera and using a string for the last video, but I don't see.
Ich kann mir vorstellen, dass man hier das Band über die Gardinenstange hängen könnte. Ne? Und die Sachen hochzieht. Das kann ich mir vorstellen. Also ich kann mir vorstellen, dass es gefaked sein kann. Aber ich find's cool.
Yet, and there are other videos like this one where they show the full room, and look at that flashing red light. It looks like the ghost may have left them a voice message, which they unfortunately don't play. I would have really liked to have heard Freddy's real voice. Here
Oder
they
es ist
are
einfach
on a
nur eine
different
Voice
day,
Message.
standing all the way on the other side of the house, and here the picture is bobbing up and down all on its own, while the curtains move about on their own. The windows are up, so it's not somebody running a wire from outside. There's just no easy explanation for this one. Then, to make matters even more confusing, the picture simply drops on its own as if the ghost is done playing with it. When the mother goes to pick it up, the overhead lamp starts swinging all on its own. Swinging lights are another tactic Freddy uses to try and drive them mad. It is one of the things that seems to honestly annoy the mother, and that's probably why Freddy is always doing it so often. First, it swings back and forth, and then when that fails to get a reaction from them, it starts to move in small nauseating circles. Before you say that the camera person must be pulling on it with a string, consider that there's clearly no string to be seen, and that the light over the living room, where no one is standing mind you, is doing the exact same thing. Plus, I really don't think they'd risk breaking the lamp by...
Und jemand kann nicht zwei Schnüre haben. Ich finde auch schön, dass seine Erklärung ist, jemand würde wohl kaum das Risiko eingehen, seine Lampe kaputt zu machen. Doch würden sie.
Swinging it this hard themselves, and the more they ignore it, the harder the lights swing. Freddy gets so upset that he figures out how to express his anger in a new way.
The door. Look at that. The door's never done that, ever.
Ich habe noch nie zugegangen.
Nobody touches the door at all. Nobody is anywhere near that part of the house. At 49 seconds is when you should be able to see a string connected to the door, but even at half speed and zoomed in, no...
Weißt du, dieses Video hat zu wenig Pixel. Da kann locker eine Schnur sein. Aber ich liebe es, wie Chills immer so ist. Nein, da ist kein. Was andere erklären so, glaubt ihr, das könnte gefaked sein? Aber Chills ist so, da ist nichts. Keine Schnur. Null Schnur. Du kannst keine Schnur sehen. Keine Schnur. Nein.
string is to be found. It's truly closing by itself. And in this window, where objects are always moving, stands the outline of Freddy. Some videos seem much more easy to explain than others. Somebody could be shaking the table from underneath.
What? The table's moving. Alright, stop that now. Look at the cat, look at the cat. I know.
While other videos seem unexplainable even years later, I would have liked to have seen the other side of this picture to see if they were using high-powered magnets, but I guess we'll never get the chance. I find it interesting that Freddy seems to be confined to the kitchen and living room areas. Something bad must have happened here to confine it to these areas of the house. Perhaps its anger will one day allow it to explore the rest of the home. In the meantime, they don't know what it is or what it's trying to tell them, and they don't really seem to care, and their indifference only seems to make Freddy grow more determined to grow stronger and show them his true form. There have been some odd cemetery happenings that have been
Wie es gibt zwischen den Punkten.
freaking me out lately. Weird occurrences that I hope don't signify a new trend. Take this video from 539 Productions for example. He's walking around the graveyard for fun as he tends to do, and he goes all the way back to the oldest row of markers, ones that border the forest. Right next to this one is a mysterious opening that looks like it goes all the way down, presumably 6 feet under. To clarify, it's not the right size for someone to go down into, but rather the right size for someone to squeeze up through, as if someone who had been buried recently had clawed their way to.
Zwei Möglichkeiten, die nicht bedeuten, dass eine Leiche rausgekrabbelt ist aus dem Loch. Das Grab hat sich abgesackt, also ist abgesackt, ne? Durch Unterspülung, sonst was, durch einfaches Absenken der Grabfläche. Oder ein Tier. Du bist also der Meinung, dass es eine Leiche ist, die wieder
Nein,
selbst.
aber es könnte auch ein Mensch sein, der es rein... Also das...
Er meinte ja aber gerade, es ist zu klein für den Menschen da reinzukommen.
Ich sag gar nicht, dass jemand da reingegangen ist. Ich sag nur, jemand hat das Loch erzeugt.
Irgendwas, ich will eine Sandburg bauen.
To the surface. I know it sounds far-fetched, so maybe it's just an animal den like 539 Productions suggests.
Wer ist da mit so einem, das sind diese riesigen Truckreifen, und wer ist da übers Grab rübergefahren? Wer fährt hier über die Gräber?
At least I hope so. But when he finds another hole at a completely different graveyard,
Der sieht aus wie
it
von
really
Tieren.
starts to make you wonder what's going on. I mean, the hole is the exact same size and the exact same placement as before. And again, it looks just wide enough for a person to squeeze through. And when you look at videos like this one, where a man apparently smashes through the casket at his own ceremony in Brazil, it starts to become a little more believable that this scenario could happen while underground. Look at the patch on this government agent's sleeve. These don't look like regular police to me. After a while, they back away and seem reluctant to touch him, which makes me wonder why. And finally, this is one of the more recent graveyard videos to go viral. Family and friends gather around. A man named Elliot who passed away days ago. Suddenly, he sits up at 13 minutes and looks around, stunned. This video looks like it was set up because I'm pretty sure he's breathing at 10 minutes and 2 seconds, well before he supposedly comes back to life. But just because I don't believe this video is real doesn't mean it's not creepy to think about. And it also...
Ich bin echt überrascht, dass Chills ein Video gefunden hat, dem er nicht glaubt. Ich glaube, du kannst Chills in so einem Video zeigen, wo du eindeutig siehst, wie du, weiß ich nicht, so ein Seil an etwas gebunden hast und es damit hochhebst und Chills wäre so, was?
Doesn't disprove the other strange graveyard sightings. I've got a challenge for you.
Nein.
Next,
Nein. Was ist
chill
das?
in YT and tap that follow button to find
Nein.
out. Number 1. Lechtworth Village used to be a collection of 130 mental asylums built 2 hours from Brooklyn, a place where unwanted people in the early 1900s New York were taken to be forgotten, never to be visited, never to be removed. Atrocities were inflicted daily upon patients unable to make sense of what was happening to them or to defend against it. With a ratio of 3 nurses to every 80 patients, there simply wasn't enough staff to keep everyone well fed or even alive. Mealtimes were a mad scramble in which a handful of nurses had to shovel food down patients' throats, often against their will. Some didn't survive. Their bodies were branded with a number and taken to a cemetery in a nearby forest. Lechtworth Village did not shut down until 1996, 85 years of suffering total. Now, after 100 years after its creation, the 130-building mega asylum has rotted down to only a few of the most haunted sites left standing. Areas full of activity that a paranormal explorer named Angelo wants to document. On March 2nd of 2020, Exploring with Angelo enters one of the only buildings left standing. Shadow figures watch from a distance as they cautiously make their way through. Apparitions who are there one moment and gone the next. And it isn't until they begin walking up the stairs that the creepy noises begin. Sounds like doors opening while both of them are standing in place.
Ich hoffe, Chills glaubt wirklich, dass alle diese Videos echt sind. Weil Das muss so gruselig für ihn sein, sein Job.
Place. Or this low croak right behind them at 4 minutes and 46 seconds.
That's weird. That's weird.
Or when they get to the top and find the doors wide open leading into the dark forest. So if this door is already open, then explain this.
God, these stairs are all made of metal. This goes to a road.
The door somehow creaks open without moving. It sounds.
Wir sehen nicht, dass die Tür sich nicht bewegt. Wir sehen nicht, dass der Typ nicht gerade die Tür aufschiebt. Ich glaube, Chills kriegt so ein Video, wo gruselige Dinge drinnen passieren. Ne, wenige. Aber er guckt sich das Video normal an und findet in allem etwas Gruseliges. Jemand öffnet die Tür und er ist so, was? Wie? Hä?
Sounds like it's being pulled open from straight ahead and yet nothing is there. Here's the door at 5 minutes and 6 seconds when the sound happens, and here it is again at 5 minutes and 50 seconds after the sound. It's open at the exact same angle down to the degree. They didn't touch it. They step through and turn around to look at the door from outside. They turn out their light to see if they pick up anything. Sure enough, these two beady eyes reflect on the wall despite there being no lights of theirs turned on. At 6 minutes and 25 seconds, they hear and see something jump across the camera. When they turn their lights back on, it's gone. They explore a few other rooms, and when they retrace their steps, the phantom doorway opens once more.
I just heard it again. Yeah, I heard it too. Whatever, just keep going.
The top floor is filled with hospital beds. Look what appears right as they ask a simple question out loud.
People claim they see in this place.
Shadows.
A glowing circle floats by in response, and soon a bad feeling rushes them off of this floor. But as they are leaving, they hear this noise coming from a different building, one deeper in the forest.
That's what we've been hearing.
That's what we've been hearing, but that's coming from the forest.
Angelo is walking towards the noise when it becomes evident that they are surrounded.
What?
They are looking one way when they...
Was das Schlimme ist, Duffy? Es gibt eine neue Scary Comp. Wir hätten einfach die Scary Comp gucken können.
Hiss comes from the opposite direction.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, what the f was that?
Up ahead is another asylum building and more voices.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
That's where the noise is coming from.
And this large white sideways face peering at them from inside. As they walk around the perimeter, all of the commotion strangely stops. The forest is as silent as can be. But as soon as they enter the building, they hear the noise again. Something is playing with their mind. Inside is little more than room after room of decaying white wallpaper. When they reach the end of the hall, they hear heavy footsteps from where they just were. This sounds like real fear to me.
Wisst ihr, wir haben echt lange keine Videos mehr von Chills geguckt. Wenn ich das nächste Mal ein Video von Chills vorschlage, bitte erinnert mich, warum wir lange nichts mehr von Chills geguckt haben.
At first, they try to determine where the footsteps are coming from, but this is the moment they need to get out of there fast.
Ever since we got here.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
They face their fears long enough to stop and turn around one last time to confirm they were really being followed.
Anything there?
I'd say it's pretty clear that they are the people who claim to
15 siren head sightings. God, okay. Oh god. Number 15. This person was out in the winter and then he saw something scary. As you can see, there is nothing suspending it in the air. Nichts gegen Chills. Aber in diesem Video war nichts gruselig. In diesem Video war nichts gruselig. Absolut nichts.